Welcome in, everybody, to the BVarsity Live Scoreboard Show for Week 10. Central Section High School football. Week 10 is over.
What's up, boss?
You know, I always sort of have this overall impression, and I was disappointed in Week 10 a little bit. There weren't a lot of close games. Not a lot. Last week was great, and this week not as great. Although, Trevor, the game you were at, one of the close games of the day, 14-10.
I loved my game. It was great.
East for the third straight week, coming up just barely short.
17 points combined that they've lost by Tachapi, Ridgeview, and now Independence in the last 3 weeks. That's after starting the season 7-0. That's a tough running for East, but a great win for Independence, a team that has never won an outright league title since the school opened in 2008. Obviously, they shared the league title in the now defunct South Central Sequoia League.
You say now defunct. I mean, the thing was only a league for one season.
Yeah,
because it was a one-year only deal.
It was five brand new schools, and now Independence, just kind of waiting in the wings, and things kind of not going as they want, and then boom, here you are. They were 1-4 going in league, and now they're 4-0 in the SYL, and they have a good chance of going 5-0 against Ridgeview, who doesn't look like the Ridgeview of old.
Yeah, well, that was the game I was at as we kind of turned the spotlight and the focus to the South Yosemite League this week. For Ridgeview, and Tachapi, a similar story.
By the way, this is Zach. I'm Trevor.
Yeah.
That's Big Josh Bennett.
Right. We all know who we are. Everybody else should know who. Do you know who I am? We turn the focus to the South Yosemite League, and all three of these teams were 1-4 in non-league play. When you talk about Ridgeview, Tachapi, and Independence, and there exists a legitimate possibility, depending on what happens next week, where they're all going to go 4-1 in league and split a league title at 5-5 overall. That's if Ridgeview beats Independence next week.
Which is not a gimme.
Tachapi beats beats Ridgeview this week. 28-14. That's the game I was at. Let's roll some highlights of that one. Let's go ahead and see what happened in this one. It was scoreless in the second quarter, and Tachapi run you to death, and then Chris Garcia fake the run and throw to a wide-open Garrett Curry in the corner of the end zone. Passing touchdown for Tachapi.
I saw it. Still don't believe it.
It's 6-0 at that point. They went for 2 and didn't get it. And then how about this? Their next possession, they're at their own 49, and you thought that was a shock for Tachapi. How about what Chris Garcia does on this one? And really, how about what Carson Bethany does on this play? So this is 3rd and 25, by the way, from their own 49. He goes deep. Bethany's behind him. Juggle, got it. And I'm going to outrun Sean Stevens to the pylon.
Sean Stevens is not a slow guy.
He's not slow. He's not slow. And you had to juggle that as you were running if you're Carson Bethany, and he scores it. And then Tachapi, after missing the 2-point conversion, they got it. They were up 14-0. And then we'll go the other direction to Mr. Curry over here. 3 completions, 3 touchdowns. I got to check with Tom
Garcia could have ran that in.
But he could have. But Chris Garcia, 3 touchdown passes. I'm talking about a storied, rich history of Tachapi football. That's got to be close to a record, right? You don't see 3 touchdown passes in Tachapi history very often. So at this point, it's 21-0, already in the fourth quarter. Ridgeview trying to make a game of it. They get a touchdown run from Ty Johnson. Made it 21-6. Ridgeview got the ball back, but threw an interception. 2 interceptions by Aaron Noda tonight for Tachapi. And then one of them was brought back inside the 20-yard line, and that really set up the backbreaker. And I love this story, by the way. I led with this in our newspaper story tomorrow. Kieron Scott, injured against Ridgeview last year. He's having a big game. Cost Tachapi a chance at that upset last year, and here's Kieron Scott sealing the deal for Tachapi, making it 28-6 with just about 5 minutes to go. And the Warriors.
The dude is healthy for the first time in 365 days.
He told me this is the first time he's been 100%
in a year
since then. Yeah, since that last game against Ridgeview. Really a tremendous story. And then here's with about 2.5 minutes left, Ridgeview able to get back on the board against Ty Johnson. Jamar Moya came in a wildcat quarterback situation and really kind of sparked the Ridgeview offense. And Ty Johnson's going to get the touchdown here right up the gut again. But it was really too little too late at this point. Ridgeview didn't even really try an onside kick, kind of tried a line drive kick. Tachapi recovered it, and that was all she wrote. They're able to run the clock out, and 28-14 is your final. So, Ridgeview, it looked like they had sort of recovered. Well, in reality, the schedule got softer, and that's why Ridgeview was able to win some games. They snuck one out against East last week, didn't play as well this week. Quite frankly, the Wolfpack lost control of discipline in this game. They committed, I believe, I counted 7 personal foul penalties in this game. More could have been called, and a couple of them just at crucial points where they got to stop, and it was fourth down, and then an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in the game at the end of the play gives Tachapi a first down, or an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty knocks them back on offense, and all of a sudden an offense that's having trouble moving the ball anyway is facing second or third and long. So, Josh, you've been a football player. When you do something like that,
I was a football player.
It's more than just the 15 yards. It takes the wind out of your sails a little bit every time.
Destroys your momentum. Yeah. I mean, just having something like that happen, especially in a big drive where you're controlling and then boom, penalty, and they get a second chance, third chance, it's crushing.
Yeah, 15 yards is crushing enough, but what it does to you mentally, I think, makes a difference. And so now,
I've never heard a boom penalty called. Just kidding.
The SYL standings, and let's go ahead and show the next score there, Chris, the game Trevor was at, and we're having some technical problems with our highlights from this game, but
don't get me started.
Independence wins 14-10, and without J.R. Lehman at quarterback for most of the game.
Yeah, first play on offense, he fumbles the ball, hurts his knee, he's out. He was on crutches and out of pads in the second half, and in comes Garrett Greenlee, who is a senior who's never started before at the varsity level, throws for, I think I said 168 yards, really kind of, almost drove him down for a scoring drive, but a holding call kept the touchdown from scoring with 1.1 second left. They weren't able to convert again. It was 3-0 East at half, but the Falcons came out. They scored on the opening drive of the third quarter. It was Jeremy Mitchell with a 12-yard run, and then on the next play for East, Big James Thomas, who was one of the many two-way starters for Independence on the D-line, recovers the fumble. 4 plays later, a pitch from Greenlee to Taron Young, and he takes a 26-yard, just scoots right through the East defense, and just like that, it's 14-3. East got a score in the fourth quarter on a 45-yard pass, but that was it. I mean, Independence, a team that really doesn't look like a team of superstars because they're not, but they look like a team that really cares about each other. Everybody knows their role, and they do it right. Bell, great game for him up the middle, 26 yards, 150 yards, right behind that offensive line, who they call themselves the Rangers because they say Rangers always lead, and this is exactly what they do. They were just kind of pushing the pile all night long. They don't throw the ball a lot with Lehman at quarterback, but Greenlee was in there. He's not as mobile as Lehman. They threw the ball more. He was accurate. He was calm. He was poised. And this is a great win for Independence.
Yeah, and it sets up our game of the week next week, Ridgeview at Independence. You'll catch that one live right here on Bakersfield.com at 7 o'clock pregame show next week, and the SYL title on the line. Independence has a share of that title. Worst case scenario for them, you've got a 3-way tie with Ridgeview and Tachapi. Tachapi, meanwhile, plays West. We assume they'll win. And by the way, Steve Denman tonight got number 299 of his career, looking for number 300 on the mountain next week.
He's going to really look forward to talking about that next week.
I know he doesn't like talking about it, but he's probably going to get it next week. And meanwhile, Tachapi will root for Ridgeview to beat Independence so that you get that 3-way tie atop the SYL. Josh, no offense against your alma mater, North.
No, it's fine.
I'm trying to figure out how Independence lost to them back in week 1.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that.
Yeah.
I mean, is this the same Ridgeview team that we saw opening the season, just blown out by North, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, the same Independence team.
Yeah.
I don't know, how does a turnaround like that happen? It wasn't like a transfer came in. It wasn't like a guy who was injured got healthy. This is just a group of guys coming together. There was a senior-laden team to begin with. You would think they could gel from the beginning. Why does it take them a little bit longer, and how does that happen?
That's honestly a good question because they did not have a good non-conference schedule, and then as soon as league started, they're just finding ways to win.
Yeah,
and that's really all you can do.
You saw glimpses of it. They competed well with Stockdale for 3 quarters. A good SWYL team. They went over the coast and played a Tascadero reasonably well, and they really didn't open anybody's eyes until the Tachapi game. They rout Tachapi up on the mountain, and then you go, whoa, is this team for real? But Independence has never beaten Ridgeview. So this group of seniors, they almost had, not this class, but years ago now in the Division III semis, almost had Ridgeview in that game, gave it up at the last second in a heartbreaking loss, and they've never beaten Ridgeview. So this group of seniors would love to finish the regular season of their high school career on that note with a league championship, a victory over Ridgeview. So that's what we have to look forward to next week.
Well, same with Tachapi, too. After that game against Independence, we thought they were done.
Yeah, and they've rattled off 3 straight wins, beating good teams East, Golden Valley, and now Ridgeview tonight. The other SYL game tonight, Golden Valley beating West 38-6. Golden Valley 3-6. They finish with East next week. And as for West, They got to go up to the mountain and be Steve Denman's 300th victim unless something shocking happens next week. So congratulations, by the way, to Steve Denman. 300's a terrific accomplishment. We can talk more about it during the week, but it is unbelievable. In the SWIL, so we talked a lot about the SYL, but let's get to the Premier League in Kern County. Big play Central at Stockdale. I don't know how many times I saw Jeff Evans tweet tonight that one team would score an 80 or 90-yard touchdown, and the other team came around and Elisha Ortiz returns a kick for a touchdown, and then Caden Ochoa hits Taj Wright for an 85-yard touchdown. It was just back and forth. And one thing about the Drillers, they just would never let Stockdale have the momentum.
Let me reel
this
off real quick. We're talking about those big plays. Shane Jones, 54-yard punt return for BHS. Then Elisha Ortiz with an 81-yard run for Stockdale. And then sophomore Cam Williams finds Jones for an 88-yard pass on the screen. Another one, Ortiz had a 96-yard kickoff return in the third quarter. And then Caden Ochoa found Taj Wright for an 84-yard pass for BHS in the third quarter. And then Williams found Justin McGill for a 38-yard pass in the fourth quarter. And then Ochoa decided that he wanted to throw a long pass to McGill for 59 yards. So, yeah, a lot of big plays. Caden Ochoa, 5'8", 204 yards passing. And Cam Williams, 6 of 11, 193 yards. No interceptions at all. That's 397 yards passing for the Drillers tonight. Ortiz led Stockdale with 125 yards rushing. Jalen Smith, 16 25, 164 yards passing for the Mustangs.
I'll tell you what, they say the two-quarterback system doesn't work. It's working just fine for the Drillers in the absence of Joshua Moran. Those two guys, Caden Ochoa and Cam Williams, certainly getting it done. Elsewhere in the SWIL, it was Liberty all over Centennial, 51-14. And this sets up, of course, BHS Liberty next week at West High School next Friday night. The Drillers, the Patriots, both 7-2, both with losses to very good teams, both 4-0 in the SWIL. But I will say this about Liberty, as scary as BHS has looked, if Liberty is going to have the type of offense that can put up that amount of points on a pretty good Centennial defense, you better watch out for this Liberty team because we know the defense is there, Josh.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
special teams, too.
And special teams with Johnny Balderas returning kicks.
Yeah.
You better look out for this team. I know Central beat them pretty good, but if this is your number 2 seed, depending on what happens next week, you could be looking at a rematch, and I'm going to say it's not going to be a 38-point game if Liberty gets another crack at Central. Either way, Liberty and Bakersfield could be the number 2 and 3 seeds next week, no matter what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Central almost certainly the number 1 seed after beating Clovis West tonight. They get Clovis
We
East
got some
next
stats
week.
coming in from that game if you guys want to hear them. Sophomore, Isaiah Hill, 7 of 13, no interceptions, 239 yards passing for Liberty. So big game there for the sophomore. Will Alexander was 22 of 36 for 266 yards for Centennial, but he did throw 2 interceptions. Hunter Juetti, 125 yards rushing for Centennial. And Cameron Meek, who is now healthy for the first time this year, 17 carries, 172 yards. Guys, do the math. That's 10 yards a carry. That's pretty good.
And I wonder, Trevor, I talk about the Liberty offense, that 2 running back system. The guys stay fresh.
Stewart, he'll probably likely be completely healthy. And then Meek also added in a 78-yard catch there that somehow, some way, wasn't a touchdown. And then Johnny Balderas also added in a 90-yard kickoff return. That dude, I'm sorry, guys.
He can ball out.
Front runner for BVarsity Player of the Year.
I agree with you at this point, and especially if Liberty can find a way to beat Bakersfield. Is that 17 in a row now?
Yeah.
18 in a row, I believe, now.
Chris,
SWIL victories for
East
Liberty.
highlights are in. If we want to run those.
18 victories in a row for Liberty in the SWIL, and they are 4-0, and they have Bakersfield next week looking for 19 in a row and looking for a 3rd straight league championship. The third game in the SWIL, Garces down at halftime, 14-13 to Frontier, pulls away and wins this game, Josh.
Yeah, it was looking like an upset for a while there.
Yeah, Frontier had scored late in the half. It was 13-0 Garces. Frontier comes back, but Garces pulls away and wins that game.
Joseph Tobias, 11 of 23, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Rams, and Isaiah Martin, 22 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown in the win.
It's really unbelievable. These teams lose their quarterbacks, Joshua Moran for Bakersfield and Connor Bruce for Garces. And the guys who come in, it took them a week or two, but now they are producing just as well as their predecessors did. It really is amazing, and it'll be fun to watch as they go into their respective
and
playoff
it's a lot of
divisions.
fun, too, that we now have 2 games in 2 of the top, we could say at the top 2 leagues in Bakersfield, both for league titles. I love it. BHS and Liberty both 4-0. That West Stadium is going to be packed.
And
Absolutely
Ridgeview,
packed, and then Ridgeview Independence.
Ridgeview loses tonight, and it kind of takes a little bit of luster off, but really it's still for league title. It's either going to be a 3-way tie or Independence can win it outright, which I know, we all know they want to do that. Moving on to the rest of the scores, let's roll through them. Speaking of outright titles, congratulations to the South High Rebels, their 4th league championship in a row, 3rd outright league championship in a row, beating
Haven't
Foothill.
lost a game in 3 years.
Yeah, 21-7, 4-0 in the SEYL again. South's off next week, so they could get a couple of weeks off depending on what seed they get in the Division III playoffs. But they finished the season 8-2. The other SEYL game, Highland all over Miramonte, 31-7. Highland 6-3 with a game against North next week. In the SSL, Cesar Chavez improves to 7-2. They beat Shafter 41-17. Where's that paper airplane with Trevor's predictions? Where is that sucker? I should have brought that in here.
Although this one was back and forth for the first couple of quarters as well.
First couple of quarters.
Yeah.
How many
Then
quarters
Chavez
in a game?
pulled away.
And
Your
the
first couple of quarters.
Taft. Look at this score, guys. Look at this score. You don't think Taft's going to be a factor in the Division IV playoffs? You haven't been paying attention, because when Robert Cozine plays, the Wildcats are just as good as anybody else in Division IV. 63-13.
Check this mess out. 588 rushing yards for Taft.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
passing.
for Cozine. I was going to.
638 total. Cozine, 23 rushes, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns. Fano Maui, 11 rushes, 165 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then Cody McCaleb with 7 carries, 64 yards, and 3 scores.
Good night.
I'll admit I did a triple take when I first saw the score. I couldn't believe it.
63-13. Taft can score some points when you don't stop that running game. Wasco beats Arvin 24-7. Arvin falls to 0-9 and has just 1 shot left at a victory. Porterville Delano don't have a score yet. If you got one, tweet us. We have not been able to find that one. Porterville was up late. McFarland all over Layton 55-7. It was Rosamond 29, Kern Valley 20, and so the league title not decided yet. The Roadrunners are still in it. Desert was idle this week. They lead the HDL. And Bishop beats Cal City 34-28. So if Rosamond can beat Desert next week, you're going to have a 3-way tie in the High Desert League as well. Otherwise, Desert will win it outright. No score for Serrano and Burroughs. Boron beats Vasquez 50-21. The Bobcats on their way to a Desert Mountain League title. And in 8-man ball, it was Maricopa 30, Coast Union 6. No score
Burroughs
yet.
did win. We just didn't have a score.
Burroughs did win. Okay, so Burroughs, that's a huge win
That's
for
a
Burroughs over
huge
Serrano.
win
Very
over
big
Serrano.
win. And it will get Burroughs into the Southern Section
And
playoffs
it's a sad
as well.
Paul Gola.
Lancaster, Baptist, and Mojave, no score from that one yet either. And that's tomorrow,
That's
as
'cause
is
they play tomorrow's
Fraser
night.
Mountain and Riverdale Christian. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Okay, final thoughts, everybody.
We got video
Oh, we're going to run
highlights.
highlights. We got highlights of
Chris, let's go and
Independence
run
and
those
East.
video highlights. Do you have them up? Okay,
Oh,
that's
he doesn't
fine.
have. Okay, we don't
never
have
mind.
them.
No worries.
Technical problem. That's okay. Final thought on Week 10, Josh.
Final thought. Next week we got a couple Whopper games. Bakersfield Liberty, of course, the big one. With that one, of course, you're going to be fighting for a league title. But then again, you got to think about playoffs moving forward. You don't want your guys to go fully all out in that game because you do need them for November. So.
Yeah, winner of that BHS
Yeah.
Liberty game will get a number 2 seed and a bye. The loser gets the 3, and if it's BHS, could possibly be the 4. You could see Clovis West as a 3. We'll see that. That would be sort of a coin flip at that point. But the winner of that game almost certainly the number 2 seed in the Division I playoffs.
I'm going to go off the rail here. Congratulations to Robert Cozine. He's a 2,000-yard rusher. He's over 20 rushing touchdowns for Taft. I don't care what competition. I don't care what kind of offense you're playing in. If you can go over 2,000 yards in a high school season and do it in 7.5 games he's played in, that's pretty darn impressive. It's fun for Taft. They love their football up there. It's good for the Wildcats, and they're rolling moving into the playoffs.
And my final thought's going to be Tachapi, and specifically Steve Denman, career win number 299. Doesn't like the attention. We're going to give it to him anyway. And this is such a classic Tachapi win in so many ways. Yeah, they threw for 3 touchdown passes, which is weird for them, but it was the running game and the defense is what won the game. They threw when they had to or when they thought they could catch a team by surprise. But, just a terrific game. And how Steve Denman is it to take a team that everybody buried a couple of weeks ago when they were 1-5 and then beat East and then beat Golden Valley, and now take down a team in Ridgeview that's won 6 straight league titles and could make it 7 if they beat Independence next week still. But 6 straight league titles for Ridgeview, a couple of them shared, 4 of them outright. And for Tachapi to come down and win that game when everybody kind of counted you out a couple of weeks ago, that's so Denman. Yeah. And it is such a terrific... It would have been even more fitting had this been number 300 for him. It's number 299. Guess what? 300's coming next week against West. So congratulations to Tachapi and Steve Denman. And I can't wait for next week. You're right, Josh. BHS Liberty, Garces, Stockdale, a great game. Then we have Ridgeview Independence. And don't forget Desert and Rosamond for the High Desert League title.
And I'm sure Coach Denman cares more about Warriors could walk away with a share of the league title, too.
And I'm sure that they will be scoreboard watching up on the mountain for that Ridgeview Independence game if they can take care of West. So for Josh Bennett and Trevor Horn, our hardworking producer, is Chris McCullough. I'm Zach Ewing. This has been the Week 10 Scoreboard Show. We'll catch you next week, everybody.